Hello, John.
Hello, what?
So today we're going to talk about the budget 2026. We're going to particularly focus on the criticisms of it. So the first up is little benefit for workers. So there's no change to the USC, SC, the Universal Social Charge. I was hoping maybe they'd abolish it or reduce it or do something with it, and nothing happened. So there's nothing there. There's nothing in the tax either for the PAYE worker, you know?
Is there anything, did they increase anything, did they sort of, did they want about carbon tax? I think it's a nice earner that they can do whenever they feel like it and increase it as well, the carbon tax. And I think the Green Party was often yapping about your carbon footprint, and I often kind of thought they were such idiotic people that it was a method of getting taxes and acting the fool with regard to what they were at.
That's it.
So,
Anyway, I didn't see
was there
anything of that.
any
So
what?
there are good things for business. So the VAT people have been given out in the restaurant trade and the pub trade and hairdressing that they wanted that
Yeah,
reduced from 13.5 to 9%. That has happened. So if you have a restaurant that's earning, say, 500,000 euros turnover, you'll basically have an extra 25,000 euros in your pocket if you're a restaurant owner, and that's good.
I, I mean they're still charging tax at 9%. I mean they're not there in the restaurant providing any service, but they're getting 9% for every custom they do. So it's still high. I think myself it should be zero rated. So it's, those places can open and provide sustenance for the hungry public and at an affordable price. So my view is that it should be zero, never mind 9%, and it should have never been 13%. But this is the crowd that want to get taxed. I'd say if you're nearly going to be on your last legs to be still wanting tax out of you.
That's
So
it. So we
I've
move
no
on.
time for the business of tax.
We move on to, and nobody does up. No, none of us like paying it, but unfortunately, it's for the infrastructure and all the other things. Anyway, so welfare rise is too small. It's only 10 euros per week. Now, when you look at inflation and look at the cost of everything, that's not good, you know?
So €10 increase, was it for people that
So
are
for people that are
on
on
the
the dole, basically, for people that are on job seekers or whatever, they're only getting an extra 10 euros per week. And then when you look at the cost of food, you only have to go down to any of the supermarkets to fill your bag, and you look at it, and there's very little there for 40 quid, 50 quid, whatever. So 10 euros a week, they could have brought that to 20 a week to make it anyway reasonable, you know?
yeah, well, they're mean with that kind of thing, and I suppose the people that are dependent on that, I suppose they'll have to go on a very Spartan diet and
Hmm.
see if lettuce and stuff like that that doesn't cost too much lettuce and tomatoes.
Well, you see, the problem with that is
Have a nice meal once a week. What?
the problem is when people can't afford quality food, they eat bad food. And that's why if you look at working class areas, the poorer areas and the working class areas, you'll see a lot of obese people, overweight people, because they're actually eating junk food, you know, and so people can't afford to eat
It's a
properly, I
pity.
suppose, you know. But
Well,
anyway,
I think I'd advise them to have a healthy view of food. Don't abuse your body in that sense. Be economical with it. In other words, have something that has nourishment and not junk food. There's no nourishment there. You can treat yourself to that maybe once in a blue moon, but because I see those type of restaurants that have junk food, I see them packed all the time, and I don't use the money very rarely when you're on the go sort of thing, and you haven't time to be visiting restaurants and sitting down and putting your feet up. But aside from that, people that are on the dole and getting unemployment benefit, or when you're retired, you're getting something as well. Well, if you want to live a long life, the best thing is to be economical with what you're taking, and so you can be healthy. And because when you're healthy, you're wealthy. Health is wealth. And
Hmm.
I'd advise people that are going down the wrong roads as regards what to eat, to try and be get some help about what sort of food to eat that'll do them good. And we'll
Hmm.
be doing that on the Christian TV because it's an important ingredient, and we'll be suggesting menus that will be healthy for people that have limited means by way of being unemployment benefit and that kind of thing. So we'll be doing that to help people to live a healthier life.
That's it. So corporate tax receipts were 23 billion in 2024. That's about 25% of our total tax revenue. It's a kind of a windfall tax that we have. But spending may not be sustainable if the receipts were to fall. So they decided to spend on infrastructure and various other things, but possibly not sustainable if there was changes in America with Donald Trump. That's something they should keep an eye on. Cost
Yeah,
of living. Mhm. Go ahead. Sorry, John.
well, you see, the United States is the president there is entitled to look after his own people there in whatever way he can to improve their standards. And we should be doing likewise here and not be sort of dependent on so many different factors by way of these companies that are located here and paying all this tax, this windfall. But when you have that, you want to be prudent what you spend. And I'm afraid the business of the hospital in James Street is an example of complete abandonment of any kind of semblance of being prudent. If they're doing things in other areas of that caliber, well, then we haven't a hope. They've spent a fortune on a hospital that they could have built somewhere else at a fraction of the cost. That's the kind of there's no point in people like that getting money. They are spendthrifts and they spend it wrong. You've got to be prudent. People have to be prudent, and it behoves the government to be prudent and not be dictating when we see what they've done with the hospital. What else are they up to that we don't know anything about?
That's it. So look, energy bills are up, food prices are up, and private rents are up, but there's no broad cost of living payments or anything to help people in those areas, and that's not great. I mean, there is the renters will be getting an extra credit, but I think do you know when they have this two 750 euro rent credit, I think what they should do with that probably is, what they're giving that directly to the person, to the tenant. But I think that should be put into a kind of a fund for people who want to get mortgages so they have their rent credits saved for them. It should be structured
There
more
should be
towards
some,
mortgages.
yeah, something positive, but they seem to be incompetent in that area. You want to help people to get on the property ladder and that, and to be able to afford to buy a house. That shouldn't be as extravagant as it is. Whatever way they have organised the system in this country, it doesn't do the person that wants to buy a house in the like of Dublin or in various other urban areas. It doesn't do them much good when the houses are so expensive, and they're only very modest houses. They're not
Hmm.
anyways luxury, and they have to be furnished and all the rest of it. And so it's not right that they're spending money that way, and it's not actually benefiting. It's not uplifting the people to be able to afford their houses. I'm sure, like we do a survey ourselves in that area when we get going with our Christian TV to examine what other countries have done and then to copy that.
Hmm.
Houses are far too expensive here for what the people are earning. They're not millionaires that can buy houses. They're ordinary working people, and they're entitled to be able to buy a house at a reasonable price. It should never take more than about a fifth of their income, of one income, the father, the parent,
Hmm.
wherever it is, if they're married. Now, that's to be the rule of thumb that needs to be adopted, and I think it can't be adopted in this country. because of what they've managed to do over the years.
That's it. So look, there was a major surplus in corporation tax, billions, but little funding goes to major structural changes in housing, healthcare, or whatever. So there's thousands and thousands of people in Ireland that are homeless. And when you look at I think it's something like 14,000 people are now homeless in Ireland, and a lot of them are children. So, with all that money, you would think that they would step in and rapidly do something for those homeless people. I mean, these are people that are living on the street, they're living in God knows where they're living, okay? But there is a huge billions and billions of surplus there of money. And you would think that they'd come along, just 14,000 people, and help those 14,000 people. But no.
There's one. There's. I mean, you mentioned something about fuel going up. Well, fuel, central heating is important for people to try and heat their houses when the weather gets cold.
Hmm.
And the older you are, no matter what, even children need heat. You can't be going around doing this like as we used to do years ago because there was no heat. You got heat at home, all right, with turf fires. But when you were anywhere else, it was quite cold. So I think that they want to sort of this business and people then that have businesses, lorries and so on, and people that have to do a certain amount of traveling as we have to do. I mean, fuel shouldn't be costing what it is. And it's because I think it's all tax that they're putting on it, and the basic cost of fuel is very reasonable. But with all the tax that they're put on, it's making it nearly impossible for to run a business in an economical way with the price of fuel.
Hmm.
So that doesn't help business in to my way of thinking. There's ways, and fuel should not be. They shouldn't be over taxing fuel. To my way of thinking.
Hmm. So there you go. That's the budget.
Yeah, was there on for old age pensioners?
Well, they did mention John Malone. They said they were giving John Malone quite a lot of money. They said he has done God's work with Christian TV Ireland with his 4,000 videos and he has changed society forever. So therefore, there will be a special payment for John Malone.
It'd be nice if there was such a thing forthcoming, but I think we'll have to depend on our benefactors when we eventually are able to deal with it in an official capacity, in due course. But as regards, we'd like people to have a bit more change in their pocket.
Yeah.
And this crowd, I'd want to sort of encourage people to be prudent and be prudent themselves, and keep an eye on this old tax situation. I mean, if you're doing business as regards that I've been doing, paying money to an organisation that's looking after things for us, and there's 23% on that. Whatever they charge, it's 23% on it. In some ways, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense when you're doing business and you're trying to establish something, and they're taking nearly a quarter of if you pay 1,000, they're taking 250 out of it.
Hmm.
Nearly a quarter, 23%. So it seems like me to have your hand in your pocket as soon as you start to try and do something to improve the overall situation.
Well, John Malone, you will be getting an extra €10 in your pension. Okay. Now you were talking about the carbon tax. The carbon tax is up by that's a €7 50 cents per ton, but it's offset by the fuel allowance support. So they're giving it to you in one hand and they're taking it away from you in the other. It's just terrible. Um,
So that means petrol will be going up.
Possibly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, then that means the cost of motoring is high. A lot of people have to commute because they can't afford a big house price in Dublin. They're commuting.
Yeah.
Now they're going on the train, but sometimes they have to drive because that's why the roads are so choked. It seems to be a nightmare. Anybody driving on roads in the morning and in the motorway, the N50 and all this, it's just chock a block. So they're going to have to fork out more money just to be going nowhere.
Hmm.
And the fuel then will be expensive, so you'll have to start doing this eventually.
John Malone, you'll have to get a hot water bottle. That's the only answer. Uh, uh,
Well, this is it. It took the budget has taken the heat out of the situation vis-a-vis the shambles of the aforementioned presidential election. I think I mentioned to you eventually there might be only one candidate going forward. Looks like
well,
well, there's two, and Tweedledum and Tweedledee. So you can toss a coin, and it's a very peculiar situation all round.
there you go. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
John.
but that's nothing to do with the budget. Yeah. Okay, is that the end of it, Oliver?
We have come to the very end, John.
Oh, have we the end? Fini. So 10 euros. Well, I think I might be able to chance a hamburger on that
There you go.
in
You
one
won't
of
get a
the
lot for it
fast food.
anyway.
Well, I would say hamburger and marinade. I'd say I'd be able to get something there with the £10, providing I'm going to cheap and cheerful.
That's it.
If I go for anything else, €10, they might expect a €10 tip if you're dining, shall we say,
You're going a
four
la
course.
carte, yeah.
Yes, and you can add up the whole thing, and so they might be looking at you if you didn't give a tip. I know in the United States, if you don't give a tip, you got to chase you out of the place
That's it.
because that's part of their wages, and President Trump has made it tax free, so they'd be looking for tips.
Looking for a few bob.
And if I was a waiter, I'd be looking for tips. I'd be running after them once, they wouldn't give me a tip.
John Malone, I'm gonna go now. Okay, talk to you.
Yeah,
Bye now.
yeah. Bye now, Oliver.